why do bad things happen to good people? Or why do good things happen to bad people? And what kind of a God is He who allows this to happen? You haven't introduced a new one? Can call for him? Huh? You haven't? Okay. Anyway, so we see all around us suffering, and we understand that scriptures state that God is all good, God is all powerful, and God is all knowledgeable. Right? Omniscient, all-knowing, omnipotent, that is all powerful, and all good, all loving. Now there was a person, this title is taken from you can show this. These are, when we see such events in life, this is a case of riot, war, bombing, so much death, flood, train accidents, something being burnt to ashes because of some fire. When such events occur, in fact, when in Bhuj there was this earthquake, so many people became atheists. They said, actually God does not exist because we were such nice people. Why did earthquake happen only here? There's so many people doing so much nonsense. They are enjoying. While some people we saw had turned theists in that situation. So these things happen. A deep questioning arises. In fact, this title was taken from a book which is given this title by a Christian monk, a pastor, a preacher, whose name was Harold Kushner. He had a son who at a very early age developed progeria, a disease in which within 10 years he ages about 90 years. It is like a video cassette of 90 minutes, fast forwarded. It just ends in 9 minutes. So, he developed a disease in which right in front of his father, he aged and died. He became grand old man and died also. At that time, he started questioning. He said, one of these statements is not right. We say God is omnipotent, all-powerful. He is omniscient, all-knowing, and all-loving. He said, how can all of this be true? If God is all-loving, then why has He allowed suffering? And if there is suffering, maybe He doesn't know. Poor fellow, he is so busy handling so many affairs that he doesn't know what's happening. But no, He is omniscient. And if He is all loving and He knows that somebody is suffering and He is not doing anything about it, maybe He is not omnipotent. Maybe He is not all powerful. Maybe there is something, some power of evil which is so powerful that even God cannot do anything. Helplessly He is watching. So all these three statements cannot be true. Any one of them is, either He is all powerful, He can stop suffering, maybe He doesn't know. Suppose the father is in America, son dies here, he doesn't even get the information. But God is not like that. He is omnipotent, He can save people from suffering. He is also omniscient, He knows our suffering. And still if He does not do, then He cannot be called all-loving. And therefore, one of these statements is not supposed to be true. But then, the scriptures say that He is omniscient, He is omnipotent, and He is all good. If all of this is there, how does He allow suffering? Therefore, this is the title. Why do bad things happen to good people? So, until and unless you do not understand all the factors involved, one cannot answer this question. In the Bhagavad Gita, there are 5 topics dealt with. And anyone who understands these 5 topics thoroughly will never be bewildered under any circumstances in life as to the existence and the mercy and the compassion and the love of God. So what are the 5 topics? In the Bhagavad Gita, these 5 topics are elaborately discussed, and an understanding of which helps us to very clearly and concisely answer this question, the answer to this question. Why do bad things happen to good people? The first is, Gita is very clear about who is the supreme controller, God with a capital G. Who is Ishvara? We have discussed on the 3rd day the science of who is God. Next is, what is the Jiva? Or what are the living entities? All of us. That we discussed yesterday. Third, what is Prakriti? What is this material world where we are staying? Every aspect. Who designed it? How it is designed? The nature of this material world. That must be understood. Next is Kala, or what is time? And finally, what is Karma, or what is activity? Anyone who has complete understanding of these 5 topics can never be bewildered under any circumstances in life as to the existence and love and compassion and mercy of God. So, we have already discussed the first 2 in detail to a large extent, day before yesterday and yesterday. Today, in summary, we will discuss the next 3 items. What is material nature? What is time? And what is activity or karma? Prakriti, Kala and Karma will be the discussion for today. And then one can go about answering this question. Now, what is Prakriti? Or what is this material nature? Or what is this material world where we are living? Everything that we see. Not only the planet Earth, but the whole cosmic manifestation that is in front of us. What is this? Let's try to understand. According to the scriptures, Vedic scriptures, this material creation, next, is 1/4 of the creation of the Lord. Eka pada vibhuti. If creation is divided, just like 1 rupee is divided into 4 divisions, then 4 annas, 4 annas, 4 annas, 4 annas. Similarly, if the whole creation of God is divided into 4 parts, 3/4 of the creation of the Lord is the spiritual world. And 1/4 of the creation of the Lord is the material creation, material world. Now, what is spiritual world? Spiritual world is also described in the Bhagavad Gita. Natad bhasayate suryo nashashanko napavakaha yad gatva nanivartante tadhama paramam mama. In many places in the Gita, an indication is given as to the nature of the spiritual world. The spiritual world is called Vaikuntha, Vaikuntha Loka. There is a difference between Swarga Loka and Vaikuntha Loka. We were discussing the other day. If we worship the Devatas, we go to Swarga Loka. Swarga Loka is a better facility in the material world, right? Where we are staying, but in a higher realm of existence. But Vaikuntha is different. Kuntha means anxiety. And we are in anxiety because we are always fearful of birth, old age, disease, death, miseries caused by body and mind, miseries caused by other living entities, miseries caused by natural disturbances. That is Kuntha. Kuntha means anxiety. But Vaikuntha is a place, Vigata Kuntha. There is no anxiety because there is no birth, there is no old age, no disease, no death. There is no creation, there is no destruction. Everything is eternally existing. There are no dualities. Everything is absolutely existing. It's very difficult to even imagine something like this. But that's what the scriptures describe. And that's actually one's goal of life. But in one insignificant tiny corner of this spiritual creation, there is a dark cloud created. And within that, 1/4 of the creation is this material creation formed. And this material creation consists of millions and millions and billions and zillions and innumerable numbers of universes, of which our universe is as insignificant as a mustard seed in a bag of mustard seeds. You can imagine, in a bag of mustard seeds, how insignificant is one mustard seed. Our universe, the length and breadth of which we don't know, is just like a one tiny mustard seed in comparison to millions of universes. And all of these universes put together is only 1/4 of the creation of God. And this is Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. This place in the Bhagavad Gita, material creation consisting of many universes, of which our universe is a part, is designated by two names, two qualities. Dukkhalayam or Shashvatam. Alaya means home. Dukkhalaya means a home of misery. And even if right now there is no misery, or Shashvatam, nothing is eternal, everything is temporary, including the body and so-called happiness. That's temporary. Again, miseries are going to come. Dukkhalayam or Shashvatam. A place of misery and temporary. Everything is temporary here. Now, why did God create this? He should have created 4x4 spiritual world. Why did He create material world in the first place? If He had not created, if the whole creation was Vaikuntha, it would have been very nice. So, why did He create? Go to the next. That is described. This material world is compared to a prison house. I know you may not like to hear this, to be called prisoners, but this is a fact. Now, why does a city create a prison house? Generally, when the city planners plan the city, and they say, here is going to be a supermarket, here is going to be administrative offices, here are going to be residential area, this is some schools, this is a hospital, and somewhere in one corner they say, there should be prison house in advance. Why? Because they know somebody in the city may misuse the law and take the law in their own hands and disturb other entities in the city. So the government has two choices to deal with these anti-social elements. One is make them stand in a line, take a machine gun and shoot them down. Na rahega baans, na bajegi bansuri. Kill them all. So the others will also learn a lesson. But the government is very merciful. So it takes another choice. He says, no. They are antisocial elements. They must have stolen something. They must have robbed. They must have done some dacoity. They must have murdered. But let us give them an opportunity to correct themselves. and come back into the city as good citizens. Therefore, out of mercy, the government creates a prison house in one tiny corner. It's a costly affair for the government to pay for the place, to construct the prison house, to pay for all the jail keepers, to pay for the prisoners' food. It is such a costly affair. But still, the government is so merciful, it decides, let us maintain a prison house so that any anti-social elements who take the law in their own hands and misuses the laws of the state or the independence given to them, put them in a restricted place for correction. Of course, the prison is designed in such a way that they should correct themselves and come out. If the prison is constructed in very nice way, there are swimming pools, there are huge beautiful buildings, if there are wonderful facility in the prison house, then everyone would like to go there rather than coming out. And the purpose of the prison house is defeated. At the same time, if you starve people to death, then the purpose of prison house is defeated. Therefore, the prison house is designed in such a way that all your basic necessities will be met to comfortable extent. But it is not so comfortable that you permanently decide to stay there. Similarly, we were all there in the spiritual world along with the Supreme Lord. And our fault is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Why we are all here. Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. O Arjun, he is describing why the living entities come, why all of us came here. First is Ichha. We wanted to become God. Why God is enjoying, I should also enjoy like God. Instead of cooperating and serving God in love, if the child wants to become like father, if the child wants to imitate the father and drive the car in the middle of the street, if he's a small boy, father will say, no beta, you can't drive. No, I want to drive. Okay, I will take you to SL World. You drive there. Think yourself to be a big man. So Ichha, we wanted to become God, and obviously we can't become God. We are not having that much of hope. We are only insignificant part. And therefore, God becomes our competitor. And we start hating God. Dvesha. You don't want to live in the same place where God lives. You want to go to some other place. But where can you go? Everything belongs to God. Therefore, He puts you in an illusion where you think you are independent from God. Where you think you are the master, you are the creator, you are the enjoyer, you are the proprietor. Therefore, by His potency, He creates a place where everyone is forgetful of who they are, who God is, what is their relationship. Dvandva mohena bhar. He puts you in moha. That is maya. Sarva bhutani sammoham. And in this bewildered, illusory state, sarge yanti. Everyone falls into this world. And coming into this world, they want to be the controllers and proprietors and enjoyers and masters. He allows them. Okay, you try to become God. Try to become. But this is the prison house. And therefore, if you want to permanently become the controller, material nature makes you realize you are not. How? There is a whip. The jail keeper has a whip. He keeps on beating you. And what is this slap that he gives? That is the slap of birth, old age, disease, death, miseries of various kinds. Constantly remind, don't try to settle down. This is not your place. The purpose of this life is to just get out of the jail. Don't try to make this life comfortable here. This place is not meant for that. Therefore, this material world, the superintendent of the jail is Durga Devi. Durga, her name is very significant. Durga, Durg means a fort. In Hindi or in Sanskrit, Durg means a fort. Dur means difficult. And Ga means to get out. Durgamanam. It is very difficult to get out of this prison house. You may get out of Tihar jail, but you can't get out of this prison house. Very difficult. And who is the superintendent of this jail? Durga Devi. She has 10 hands and she is holding a trident. So this material world consisting of 10 directions, which is controlled by Durga, and she has this trident, Trishula. And this Trishula is the Tapatraya, 3 kinds of miseries. Miseries caused by body and mind, miseries caused by other living entities, miseries caused by natural disturbances. She constantly beats us to remind us, this is not your place. So she is Durga, she is the superintendent of this jail. She is a servant of Krishna, whose job is to see that you are miserable. She does the thankless job of punishing the living entities till they come to the realization that I can't be happy here. The only place I have to find happiness is to get out of this prison house. And so therefore, this material world is compared, can you go next? Yeah, to a prison house. And it is a facility given to the rebellious souls as an opportunity to reform themselves. So the purpose of life is to reform our rebellious attitude. Instead of trying to become God, we must realize that we are simply a servant of God. And in this way actually become humble rather than becoming proud of being the controller, proprietor and enjoyer. So, this is the understanding of the material world. That it is a prison house and it's a facility to reform ourselves. And therefore, trying to find happiness in a prison house is foolishness. Now you may say, what nonsense. I'm not in a prison house. I'm completely free. I can move about anywhere. Where are the chains? I am free. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want. Sorry. This is another illusion. To think we can do whatever we want, whenever we want, however we want. Actually, this material nature, Prakriti, provides the soul with a body in the 84 lakh species of life. I don't know if you are aware. In the prison house, there are various grades. A-class cells, B-class cells and C-class cells. A-class cells means political prisoners. If big guys are sent, they are sent to A-class. There may be some nice AC. There may be a swimming pool. There may be newspapers that comes every day. They may have some table tennis court or tennis court. But there is no freedom. You can't, within that prison house, okay, much facility is there. It's A-class cell. Then all ordinary pickpockets are put into B-class cell. One big room, one little fan and maybe a fan and one light or no fan. And 10 people are put together or 50 people are put together. That is a B-class cell. And for very dangerous criminals who are murderers, they may murder in the prison house also, anyone who is around. They are put into dungeons, 6 by 6 dark cells, where they don't even know, there are no windows, there are no doors. The door is locked and sealed, and there are no windows, just one little hole to throw the food inside. You have to eat there, you have to sleep there, you have to pass urine and stool there itself. For years together, you don't even know whether it is day or night. Total darkness. Similarly, this material world is divided into Tribhuvana Loka. 3 kinds of planetary systems. Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha. The Swarga Loka is like a A-class cell. All devatas live there. They are A-class cells, There is Rambha, Urvashi, Menaka dancing around. There is Somaras to drink. and there is fantastic facility for enjoyment. But still, it is a cell, because birth, old age, disease, death is there for them also. Maybe after long years, but it is there. And our Bhuvarloka, middle planetary system like the earthly planets, are compared to B-class cell. Little facility is there, enjoyment, and little misery is also there. And the lower species of life, in the lower planetary systems, they are compared to C-class cells, or even the lower species of life. Like the plants and the trees, just standing at one place, whether it is rain or sun or whatever. They have to just stand there for years and years, sometimes hundreds of years, exposed to all kinds of weathers, can't complain, nothing, like in the dungeon, just standing there. They are not even aware of what's happening outside. Their consciousness is very much covered in darkness. So, there are 84 lakh species of life. Jalaja Navalakshani, 9 lakh species within the waters, Jalaja. Sthavara Laksha Vimshati, 20 lakh species of plants and trees. Krimayo Rudra Sankhyayam, 11 lakh species of insects, various kinds of insects, etc. Pakshinam Dashalakshavaha, 10 lakh species of birds, different kinds of birds. Trimshal Lakshani Pashavaha, 30 lakh species of animals. Chatur Lakshani Manavaha. And the last 4 lakh is human beings. Now you may say, what nonsense? 4 lakh human beings? 4 lakh varieties of human beings? We put all human beings into one category, Homo sapiens. So what does it mean, 4 lakh species? The Vedic kind of classification is not like the biological, all quadrupeds are put under there, all millipeds are put here, all human beings are put. No. This classification of 84 lakh species, or 4 lakh species of human being, is according to the development of consciousness. According to how much our consciousness is developed, they categorize. It is not according to the body shape, or how many legs or hands or eyes or teeth we have. It's according to the level of consciousness. So right here in this room, there may be different varieties of people according to the level of development of their consciousness. So in this way, according to the kind of action we have done, we get a particular kind of body in the 84 lakh species of life. Sometimes higher in the planets, sometimes lower in the species, and sometimes in the lowest of species. So in this way, just like in a prison house there are different kinds of cells for different kinds of prisoners, similarly in this material world, there are different kinds of bodies provided for different kinds of souls. Some are in insect, some are in plant bodies, some are in human bodies, some are in devata bodies, demigod bodies. Next. Yeah. So you may say, I can't understand, how am I tied? I am actually free, I can go anywhere. But actually, whether we know it or not, all of us are tied with 3 ropes. 3 guna. Guna also means rope. Just like if you see the ladies, they tie their plaits. First they divide their hair into 3 strands. And then they put one above the other to make it into like a one plate. Similarly, if you see how they make ropes, they take 3 strands, string, and then they put it together to make a rope. Then 3 ropes are made to put in a thicker one. Then 3 more ropes to make a thicker one. Ultimately, they make a huge, thick rope which can even tie a ship. And even the many tons of weight of ship with powerful engine cannot move when it is tied and anchored to the ground. Similarly, the soul is independent. It can travel anywhere, anytime, any distance, in a moment. Millions of miles it can travel. That is the speed. Actually, the speed of the soul is faster than the mind. But now the soul is tied by this body. Actually, this body is a prison for the Satchidananda soul. The soul is Satchit and Ananda, but it is put in a place, in a body which is Asat, Achit and Nirananda. Temporary, full of ignorance and full of misery. We are very proud of our body. But actually the body is an embarrassment for the soul. Because it restricts the soul from its original consciousness or original status. So, it binds the soul with three modes, three kinds of gunas. What are the three? Sattva, Raja and Tamoguna. So, we will briefly discuss what these gunas are. And you can know immediately which quality you belong to. I will describe the nature of people in all the modes. Sattva guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. And whichever mode you feel like, oh, this is like my autobiography, then you know you are in that mode. Right? So, you don't have to raise your hands and indicate which you are. Think for yourself. And I am not going to judge. You decide. Whichever mode you belong to, all the best. So, out of these three modes, Sattva, Raja and Tama, or goodness, passion, ignorance, the mode of goodness is the best. The best amongst the three worst. One should at least be in the mode of goodness. That is the best in the material creation. Next is Rajoguna, or the mode of passion. And the third is Tamoguna, or the mode of ignorance. So, let us describe each of these modes. The first is Sattva-guna. A person in the mode of goodness is described Tatra Sattvam Nirmalatvat Prakashakam Anamayam Sukha Sangena Badhnati Jnana Sangena Chanagha. Krishna says Tatra Sattvam Nirmalatvat. A person in the mode of goodness is Nirmala. Mala means sinful desires. Nirmala. Nirmal means very clean. So, Nirmalatvat. A person who hates performing sinful activities. He wants to live a sinless life. Let us be good, let us do good to others. This is a person in the mode of goodness. Nirmalatvat. And Prakashakam. Because he lives a relatively pure life, he can see things in proper perspective. As it is. He does not mistake one thing for the other. He can see things in proper perspective. And Anamayam. Go down. Oh, yeah, you can go next. Yeah, these are the three modes. So we will discuss each of these. Goodness, can you just put down? Yeah. So, one is, there is knowledge. He is very knowledgeable. Knowledge about what is what to do, what not to do, how to behave, how not to behave, what to speak, what not to speak, what is right, what is wrong. This knowledge is relatively more. That means such a person is very pious. That is a person in the mode of goodness. And then, free from sinful reactions. Anamayam. But the problem is, Sukha Sangena Badhnati Jnana Sangena Chanaga. He thinks that I am very happy. There is nothing higher than this. He is happy. He is satisfied in whatever position he is. He is not hankering after many things. He is satisfied in whatever position he is. He is happy, Sukha Sangena and Jnana Sangena. And he thinks he is very knowledgeable. He doesn't need anyone to tell him what. Generally, great philosophers, scientists, professors, teachers, they feel they know everything. They are happy relatively. whichever situation they are, contented, satisfied. They want to live a pure and simple life. These are people in the mode of goodness, sattva guna. Then there are people in the mode of rajoguna. What are the quality? They have unlimited desires. The more they have, the more they want. They are never satisfied in whatever situation of life. They aspire for more and more and more. Secondly, fruitive activity. Fruitive means any work they perform, they won't perform unless there is some benefit. Kya milega? If there is no benefit, who will work? So if there is a little extra material benefit, then they will travel from one end of the earth to other. But if there is no profit, if there is no material profit, they will not take even one step. Kuch nahi milega. So first thing they ask is, kya milega? What is the result I am going to get? So they are very much attached to the material profit from any activity. And thirdly, because of the mode of passion, rajoguna, rajas, there is strong attraction between the opposite sex. This is the mode of passion. And the third is the mode of ignorance. In ignorance, a person is mad. A mad person does not know what is what. He sees everyone is dying, but he thinks, I will never die. At least he lives as if he is never going to die. He is lazy. At least half of the day he is always sleeping. He is sleeping to spirituality. He is lazy to take any step towards ultimate perfection of life. Lazy doesn't mean always sleeping. That is also true. They sleep more than what is required. Excessive sleep. They love to sleep. And they are sleepy even to, they are not awake to self-realization. And they have no inclination. And sleep and intoxication. They already are intoxicated to the bodily concept of life. So in this way we find that these are the three kinds of modes. In fact, everything can be divided into the three kinds of natures. Everything in this world. Tribhir gunamayair bhavair evhi sarvamidam jagat. Everything in the world is divided into three modes. A person in the mode of goodness, you can immediately find out by what kind of part of the day he is active the most. A person in the mode of goodness is active in that part of the day which is in the mode of goodness. The day is also divided into goodness, passion, ignorance. Goodness is early in the morning. Very early in the morning, the people in the mode of goodness like to become active and they do the activities at morning. They rise and they love to they enjoy the environment in the morning. That's why, you find in the parks or in the temples or something, these people go there. So you move very active in the morning, that is in the mode of goodness. After sunrise starts the mode of passion. 8:39, you see the railways, activity starts. And with sunset, activity goes down and mode of ignorance starts. So early morning, there is more activity, maybe in the temples, maybe in parks, maybe in some nice sattvic places. But as sun rises, activity starts, you will find more activity in Nariman Point, the administrative center, heart of Bombay. So much of busy running people here and there, here and there. Early morning, nobody is there. Till 10 o'clock probably, 9:30, 10. Activity starts there. And by 6 o'clock, no one you will find there. By 7 o'clock, practically none. Then starts in Oberoi Hotel probably. Or some other joints or some other bars, some other restaurant. Life starts only at 8 p.m. or probably 9 and ends just before early morning. That is the time they go to sleep. When people in the mode of goodness wake up, that is the time the people in the mode of ignorance go to sleep. Because they don't like that mode. Because they are in a different mode. Everyone loves to be in the same environment in which they are. Therefore, one can immediately find out what one's nature is according to what are the environment one which has attraction. Similarly, even food, one can judge by the kind of food one is attracted to. It is described, the Bhagavad Gita says, what is the food that is liked by people in the mode of goodness? Ayuhu sattva bala arogya sukha priti vivardhanaha rasya snigdha sthira hridya ahara satvika priya. Satvika priya. The people in the mode of goodness like those foods which increases, vivardhana. Vivardhana means increases. What? Ayuhu. That food which increases one's lifespan. Sattva, which purifies one's existence. Bala, it increases one's stamina or strength. Arogya, it increases or improves one's health. Ayuhu, sattva, bala, arogya. And not only that, sukha. When you eat it, it is very pleasing. And priti, very satisfying to the body. These are food in the mode of goodness. What are they? Rasyaha. Rasyaha means very juicy. Fresh fruits. Things like this. Very juicy. Snigdha. Snigdha means fatty. Fatty does not mean animal fat. Fat that is acquired by, say, milk, butter, ghee, etc. That fat is enough actually to sustain the body. So, rasya, snigdha, sthira. It gives stamina and hridya. They are very pleasing and satisfying to the body, to one's health, conducive to one's health. In fact, all over the Western world, many people are becoming vegetarian. More for health than for any other reason. Because they realize the dangers of other kinds of food stuff. That's described in the Bhagavad Gita as food in the mode of goodness. That means, in one sense, pure vegetarian, milk, fruits, etc. Then what about the people in the mode of passion? Katuam lalavana tyushna tikshna ruksha vidahinaha ahara rajasasyeshta dukkha shokamaya pradaha. The Gita says, what kind of food is liked by people in the mode of passion? Rajoguna. Katu. Katu means extremely bitter. Amla, extremely pungent. Lavana, extremely salty. Atyushna, extremely spicy. Vidahinaha. When you eat, it burns. Dahina means, it burns. It burns when you take in, it burns when you pass out. That is food in the mode of passion. Vidahinaha. Ahara rajasa seshta. They love this kind of food. I had a cousin of mine, and earlier, before I joined this movement, when we would go to a hotel, we'd go to a nice AC hotel, and even there, he would order for the kinds of food, and when he would eat, actually he was sweating. He would sweat. And until and unless he sweated, he said, "Kuch maza nahi aaya." When he was actually sweating in spite of being in the AC room, and he said, "Aaj kuch maza aaya khane mein." That's like people in the mode of passion. It should burn. Katu, amla, lavana, atyushna, tikshna, spicy, hot, pungent. Ruksha, dry, vidahina, burns. But what is the result? Dukkha, shoka, amaya, pradaha. It causes misery, unhappiness, and disease. We find it, these kinds of food stuff. Therefore, people all over are slowly turning to vegetarian. Not because of any other reason. but because of just to avoid the kind of diseases and distress and the misery caused because of taking of these kind of basically meat, etc. So this is about people in the mode of passion. So what about people in the mode of ignorance? Gita describes that too. Yatayamam gatarasam puti paryushitam chayat uchchishtham api chamedhyam bhojanam tamasa priyam. People who are in the mode of ignorance like food which is yatayamam. Yama means 3 hours. Food that is cooked after 3 hours is considered stale by Vedic standard. Except prasad. Food that is offered to the Lord, just like, sometimes after a month we get some Tirupati prasad and we don't even think twice and put it in the mouth. Because it is offered to the Lord. The Lord is beyond the 3 modes as we discussed. And therefore, food that is tasted by Him is prasad. That is transcendental to the modes. Except for that, food that is cooked and 3 hours later, a food is considered in the mode of ignorance. It causes these kind of things. And unfortunately, today's civilization is everything is not 3 hours, but 3 days, 3 months, sometimes 3 years old. So you can imagine what kind of consciousness it brings about in people's mind. Yatayamam gata rasam. Gata rasam means not at all tasty. It has been sucked out. All the juice has been sucked out and dried and canned. Gata rasam. Puti. Puti means foul smelling. I remember we used to go for Harinam Sankirtan to Kolaba fish market. And we had to pass through the fish market. And there I used to see some people coming to purchase fish. And they would hold a big towel or a handkerchief into their nose and they would come to purchase. Kitna? 2 rupiya, jaldi. They're supposed to eat it. They can't even smell the food they're supposed to eat. Quick. Okay. Take it out. And when they fry it, at least the whole area, especially if they are sattvic, they have had tough time tolerating. Anyway, all glories if you are taking, I have no offense meant. I am simply describing Bhagavad Gita, that's all. So, puti means foul smelling. Yatayamam gatarasam. Puti paryushitam. Paryushitam means decomposed. Basically dead carcass or dead bodies. Just rotting for many days and then you cut it, fry it, and just to overcome that foul smell, you put so many other items so that you don't know what is the taste of that. And this way, you consume it. So therefore, because of these dead bodies and because of this foul smelling and decomposed things, the consciousness is affected naturally. And such a person is very difficult to appreciate spirituality because the consciousness is covered over. The more the consciousness is covered over, the more the original consciousness cannot manifest. Just like if the bulb, if this thing is covered over by 10 black papers, covered one after the other, then it will become dark. Even though the light is inside, it can't be perceived. So therefore, it is a relative deeper covering of consciousness. Therefore, goodness is the best because it is least covered. The soul is least covered. Passion means more covered. But in the mode of ignorance, consciousness gets completely covered over. So not only time of the day, not only food, but every aspect, the kind of association one has also determines the kind of consciousness. For example, people in the mode of goodness like nice music. Laga, tala, laya, very fine-tuned appreciation for, different kinds of classical music. A mode of passion, what power? They are least bothered about the sound or the whatever. How loud is it? At least the windows should vibrate. And your bones should also vibrate. Kuch maza aaya. rock, or you can, even that. I mean, all glories. Again, no offenses meant, but I'm just saying that that's why we see the kind of music appreciated. And what about people in the mode of ignorance? For them, everything is a music. Their wife shouting is also music. Because for them, anything that makes sound is music. They have no discrimination whatsoever. They have no appreciation. So in this way, more and more we get covered, the more and more the soul gets covered, it is difficult for such a person to advance to the perfection of life of self-realization. Therefore, one should slowly strive to at least move towards the mode of goodness, which is the springboard to transcend, ultimately. So, why should we discuss this? Because these three modes of nature binds the soul with the body is binding the soul. And the more thicker the nature, or more lower the mode, the more difficult it is to come out of it. Therefore, our food habits, our association, the kind of day which we become active, all these are very important to slowly elevate ourselves. It's like a rope. And this knowledge of Gita is compared to a sword. If you have a sword which is very sharp, you can cut the thick ropes and become free. Similarly, to the extent we acquire this knowledge, which is like a powerful, sharp sword, we can cut our entanglements and slowly become mukta, or become liberated from these triguna, or being bound and kept very helpless. If the rope is pulled, we are pulled. Right? It is written, cigarette smoke is injurious to health. We know that. But how are we attracted? Because we are tied by a rope. And it says, come on. The mind says, I want to smoke. The body is dragged. Unwillingly. We may say we are free. But are we free? Our tongue is controlling us. Our sense of smell is controlling us. The ears are controlling us. The eye is controlling us. The sense of touch is controlling us. We are being pulled helplessly to perform activities which we may know is not favorable. And we wonder why. I don't want to do it, but why I am being pulled to perform some activities which I know is not beneficial for me. It is because we are helpless. We are prisoners. And the tighter we are tied, the more difficult it is to get out. And the best way to get out is to cut these knots through the sword of transcendental knowledge. So this is briefly about what is Prakriti. Because an understanding of this helps us to actually come out of this situation. Next. So to summarize this Prakriti, we are conditioned to perform or to act in a particular way for a particular stimulus. We are forced to respond to a particular stimulus in a particular way. Different people will react to a particular stimulus in different ways. Somebody gets a smoke and he becomes very happy. And somebody says, right? One man's food is another man's poison. Why? One man's happiness in another man's distress. Because they are different modes. They are in different modes. Therefore, we were discussing the first day that why there are difference in living entities. Because somebody is in a different mode of nature, we are in a different mode, therefore there is a clash. I like this, I don't like this. I hate this, but I love this. Why? Because their taste is different, everything is different. So the soul, being conditioned, acts according to the mode of nature it comes in contact with. If you come in contact with Rajogun, by food, by association, by the time of the day, by etc., then slowly that mode will overtake you and you will act in that mode. This is called conditioning. We seek happiness on the material platform according to our conditioning. Therefore, what one man finds happiness, another man finds it miserable. In the middle of the night, somebody starts playing loud music and someone says, hey, can't you just shut up? In early morning, this fellow does something and they say, hey, why don't you go to bed? Why do you disturb? There seems to be two different tastes, so-called happiness. We are forced to helplessly act according to the impulses born of the modes of nature. So we may feel we are free, but it is the three modes or three ropes of gunas which are pulling us to different directions to act helplessly in a particular way or respond in a particular way. Impure desires are born of the three modes, pervert our pure spiritual nature. Actually, the soul of all the living entities are supremely pure, like a white light. But if the white light is covered by a blue paper, or a red paper, or a yellow paper, then it becomes a blue light, yellow light, or red light. But actually the light is pure. Similarly, the soul has pure desires, but when it is covered over, then the same person finds happiness in killing people. There are some people who find joy hurting people, either verbally, physically, to the point of even shooting them for no reason. But some people find joy in helping some people in trouble. Why is there a difference? It is simply because of what kind of covering the soul has got. Lesser or more. Thus the soul is forced to take birth again and again in this material world. So, the subtle body has these three modes of nature. So, as long as the covering is there, to satisfy the desire, you have to take another body, another gross body. But before giving up the gross body, if you give up the subtle body of the three modes, then you are Muktatma. You are a liberated soul. Therefore, before dying, before giving up this gross body, one should finish off the subtle body, which is the link or chain which is binding the gross body to the soul. It is the subtle body which binds the soul to the gross body. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. And in this way, in the material world, sometimes we become devatas, sometimes we become human beings, sometimes we become animals, sometimes we become insects, sometimes we become trees. In this way, we travel in the 84 lakh species like a, wheel, giant wheel. So this is briefly about what is Prakriti. Now, what is Kala or what is time? Time is actually the energy of the Lord. Time, no one can see, but everyone is being devoured by time. Can you put it on? Yeah, next. So time is Krishna's energy. Krishna says, Kalosmi. Some people want to defeat Krishna. In Krishna Leela, we find so many Rakshasas, so many demons came to kill Krishna. But ultimately all of them were killed, including Kamsa, including Ravana, including Hiranyakashipu. What to speak of defeating Krishna? We can't defeat even one tiny insignificant of energy of Krishna in the form of time. You may be a powerful personality. Right now you may be very energetic, strong, very powerful, and powerful influence over people. You may control family. You may control state. You may control nations. You may even conquer and control the whole world. How long? Few years? few decades, ultimately everything is finished. Time devours everyone. Time devours all. Where are the British empires, the Roman empires, the Greek empires? Where are Hitlers? Where are Mussolinis? Where are all the great conquerors? They were riding the wave of time. That's why the time is compared to the waves of an ocean. Sometimes the waves are going like this, thinking, my God, they are going to just devour everything. But then ultimately, finish. Similarly, sometimes people become so famous, so powerful, so strong. Muhammad Ali, he said, catch me if you can. I am the greatest. Not today. Ultimately, he changed his name. He said, Allah is great. At the time, from Cassius Clay, he changed to Muhammad Ali. He realized, I am insignificant, God is great. Because when he got a disease, we can't even lift his hand. He realized he is powerless. So time is like a wave in the ocean. Sometimes it takes you up and you think, oh, I am the Lord and controller and master. But then it throws you down and makes you completely helpless, insignificant. Time is also compared to an expert gambler. An expert gambler doesn't win immediately. He knows he's going to win ultimately. But what he does is, he just plays and loses. So the opponent is thinking, wow, I won the first game. I won the second. I got 1,000. He invests 1,000. Wow, I got 10,000. He invests the 10,000. I got 1 lakh. And with the 2 eyes, this expert gambler is just watching the face. He loves to see the expression of the winner. And just when he is winning, becoming a crorepati, finally the gambler says, wow, acha, invest that 1 crore. Finish. Everything that fellow has earned in the whole game, in one moment everything is lost. And he loves to see the opponent's face shrivel up. Gloom. Doomsday. Similarly, time is compared to an expert gambler, and his 2 eyes are compared to day and night. Every rising and setting of the sun is one day we are closer to death. So sometimes we have beautiful youth and we are thinking, wow, I'm going to be fresh, youthful forever, energetic forever. I'm going to conquer the whole world. And the expert gambler in the form of time is watching, oh, very happy. And then you become a good corporate world, you may know, in the middle age you become a big successful man, and you have so many industries under you, so many people under you, and you are thinking, actually I am the controller. And the time is feeling, okay, this time also you win. And in this way it's going up and up and up and up. And finally, either in the form of old age or death, the gambler puts his game and ultimately he wins. And everything is finished. Kalosmi, Krishna says, I am time, the all-devouring personality. This is a beautiful picture that was taken from a, National Geographic. In this it shows a snake is devouring a rat. It's very interesting. The snake has already half of the body of the rat is inside the snake's mouth. But the rat is busy trying to eat something which is in front of him. Similarly, with every rising and setting of the sun, we are one day closer to death. But in spite of the fact that our age is slowly being devoured, we are so busy trying to enjoy whatever facility is there. As long as, still half of the body is gone, but still half is there, I can enjoy. But an intelligent man thinks, I want to get out of this mouth of the snake. Kala Sarpa. Actually, sometimes time is compared to Sarpa. Sarpa means snake, Kala Sarpa. Or sometimes Kala is compared to a wheel. Main Kal hoon. You must have seen this, Mahabharata, right? First thing that comes, Main Kal hoon. Why they show circle? You know why they show a wheel? Because time is cyclic in Vedic time. In the Western world, time they see as linear. But in Vedic, time is cyclic. How? Morning, afternoon, evening, night. Morning, afternoon, evening, night. Morning, afternoon, evening, night. Summer, winter, whatever. Summer, winter, autumn, rain. Summer, winter, autumn, rain. Birth, old age, disease, death. Birth, old age, disease, death. Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, Kali. Sat, Treta, Dwapar, Kali. Everything is cyclic. Everything repeats itself. Therefore, time is cyclic. And it is just watching. Somebody sometimes in the cycle, they know, up, is enjoying, and suddenly goes down, then comes up and goes down. In this way, the time is being devoured. The time is devouring all of us. But because of Maya, because of illusion, just as a rat is not able to see that it is being devoured by the snake and still tries to enjoy the little bit, rather than trying to get out of the mouth of snake permanently, an intelligent human being should not just be, because the soul cannot be touched by time. Soul cannot be killed. The soul is eternal. But as long as we think we are the body, we are going to be devoured. So an intelligent man should understand. It devours everything. Next. And it causes transformation. Birth, growth, producing stability, producing offsprings, dwindling and dying. These are the 6 transformations of the human body. We are all born, we grow for some time, stay for some time, produces offsprings, we dwindle and we die. This is only for the body, not for the soul. For a person who realizes that he is the soul, time has no influence. But otherwise, time is the most dreaded enemy. Time is the most feared component. Because ultimately he is going to snatch everything like the expert gambler. He is allowing you to win, but ultimately he is going to win. That's a fact. And finally, we have discussed Ishvara, we have discussed Jiva, we have discussed Prakriti, we have discussed Kala, briefly. And now we will discuss about Karma. Karma means activity, Kriya. Now what is Karma? It's defined. Next. Yeah. Karma is defined as activity performed by the living entity, conditioned by the 3 modes under the control and purview of time. I'll simplify the definition. Activities performed by the living entity. Let me say myself here. A living entity, a soul. I have been performing some activity. I have been speaking for the last 1.5 hours. Conditioned by the 3 modes. I am conditioned by the 3 modes. And under the control and purview of time. In the last so many minutes, this body, or the soul within this body, has performed some activities. The soul within a body made of 3 modes of nature, in a particular time, performs some activity. You are listening, I am speaking, somebody is writing, somebody may be dozing, I'd hope not. I don't blame you after a long office hour. My day begins now. Yours ends, so I hope you will be awake. So, in this situation, there is some activity done. Everyone, the soul in a body under time is performing some activity. And that activity is called karma. So everyone has to perform some karma. Even if you sleep, that is also a karma. If you are awake, you are doing something, you are thinking, subtle or gross karma. That's called karma. Yeah. Now we will discuss the laws of karma. Of course, the laws of karma are very, very complicated. But we will discuss some basic fundamental principles. Because Gahana Karmanogati, Krishna says in the Gita that it is very difficult to understand the intricacies of the laws of karma. What to speak of the universal laws? Just to know about Indian law, people take 5 years to finish, if they are fortunate. So what to speak about universal laws? It's not so easy. But we will try to understand some basic fundamental principles that governs everything in this world, as given by the Lord Himself. The first law of karma is like the third law of motion of Newton. That is, for every activity, there is an equal and opposite reaction. For every action, equal and opposite reaction, or action and reaction are equal and opposite. That means you do something, you're going to get back the same thing in due course of time. Or in other words, we are accountable for everything we speak, think, and do. Therefore, we must be aware of the consequences of the activities we perform. Anything you do, anything you say, even anything you think, it's like a boomerang. You throw, it's going to come back to you in due course of time. So, for every action, there's bound to be a reaction. And therefore, in a human form of life, it's a very great responsibility of what we are thinking, what we are speaking, or how we are acting. We can't think that nobody is watching, I'll do something. No. The laws of nature are so stringent. It is said in the Bible, the mills of God grind slowly, but exceedingly fine. So that is the law of karma. You can't escape. Sometimes people think, one fellow murders one fellow, so he goes to life imprisonment. Another fellow murders 10th person, he is also getting life imprisonment. That means he has cheated the government. A fellow who murdered one fellow also get life imprisonment. A fellow who murdered 10 people also get. We will discuss that when we come to the next one. But for every action, you have to get back the reaction. Yeah, there are two things. Number one, there is good karma and there is bad karma. These are the two kinds of karma. Good karma is called pious activity. And bad karma is called impious activity. Good karma means activities recommended by the scriptures. And bad karma or impious activities means activities prohibited in the scriptures. Just like in a manual you get do's and don'ts. The do's are called pious activities and the don'ts in the scriptures are called impious activities. Don't do this, do this. So there are so many do's are there. Give some charity, do some yajna, do some tapasya, etc. Don't do this. So many things are mentioned in the scriptures. So a person who performs prohibited activities is called impious person, and a person who performs only recommended activities of the scriptures is called a pious person. Now, you go to the next. Yeah. Next. It is said that there are 4 things that are considered absolutely sinful. And what are the 4 things? Meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. These are considered to be sinful under all circumstances. Now somebody may ask, how is it? Some scriptures recommend meat eating. Some religion recommend meat eating. And you are saying that it is absolutely sinful. How do we understand this? What to speak of other scriptures, other religion? Even in Vedic religion, these things are allowed. Because there are various grades of scriptures. There are 18 Puranas. 6 scriptures, 6 Puranas are for people in the mode of ignorance. There are 6 Puranas for people in the mode of passion. There are 6 Puranas for people in the mode of goodness. So for people in the mode of deep, dark ignorance, they are said, okay, you eat meat, but at least don't do this. Because anyway he is going to eat. For people in the mode of passion, at least say, okay, you can do this. Some concession is given. But in the mode of goodness, it is said, absolutely you should not do this. So according to the level of a person, scriptures recommend certain concessions. But that doesn't mean that these are permitted. These are actually sinful. Next. The concession given does not mean a free license to engage in sinful activities. So in the scriptures, for people in the mode of ignorance and passion, certain concession is given. Just like in city of Bombay, there are so many bars and restaurants. There are some red light areas also of prostitution. That doesn't mean the government want everyone to go and drink and engage in illicit activities. But it is a fact that there are some people who will anyway going to do it. Therefore, they are given a concession. Okay, at least don't have illicit liquor distilled in your backyard. Go and drink in a permit room. You are permitted. Whatever you do, do there and then come out. Don't disturb the environment. So, some concession is given. That doesn't mean it's a free license. Similarly, there are some scriptures where meat eating is allowed under restriction. Under restriction. For example, in the Puranas or in the scriptures that is meant for people in the mode of ignorance, tamoguna, who are anyway going to eat meat, there are certain restrictions. They are said, okay, you want to eat meat? You can eat meat, but on certain conditions.